Can you see my screen?
Hold on. Yeah, so you're live again on YouTube. So let me just get the link for you.
Okay. I'll have to send this now to them. Or is there where they can be notified?
I would add it to their calendar, but just what's it called? You can also like drop it on Zoom. Maybe on Slack, I mean.
Okay.
But I'll change to one they have on their calendar now.
Okay, please send me okay, you sent it already. Okay, send. I really just hope. And the saddest thing is I am using two internet. Both I'm using both MTN and SpectraNet. But what is this link again? Can you hear me, Andy?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I just needed to make sure. I'm using both MTN and SpectraNet, but okay. So have you?
I've added it to their calendar already.
Okay.
I have 6 people on the call already, so I guess you can just continue because we are live
okay.
already.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Can I get the host? Okay, let me just. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for the interruption or the delay in restoring back the service. I don't even understand what happened. I just went off. My internet just disappeared for a while. Can you hear me, please? Can everyone hear me? So I would love for everyone to join. So we'll just give about 5 minutes for everyone to join. But if you are live, if you are watching this, please signify if you can hear me or if I'm breaking. Okay, thank you very much. So I'll just. Okay. Okay. So I'm sending a message to the Slack channel now, so everyone can join. Oh, apart from Python and Pylons, what are my extensions from VS Code? I have lots of extensions. Let me even see. I have lots of it. I don't even know if there's a way to check your list of extensions, but I have lots of extensions. So I'm sending a message to everyone. Oh, I have 66 installed. Uh oh yeah. This is how come I've never noticed this? I have for recommended so I'll just allow everyone to join. Oh, let's see. Um, is my screen still showing? Someone just messaged me on Slack saying my screen is not showing. Can anyone still hear me, please? I think I have to constantly say that now. Okay. Okay, so I'll just continue from where I stopped, or just make a quick recap for those who were not able to join early. So going to have to do this. Okay. So this is for the people that said my screen was still very small. So I believe everyone can see my screen now, and it's very clear. So the reason why I was going through Visual Studio Code to write a new code was because someone asked a question that said, what is the difference between pass and continue? Yeah. So I said pass is used when you just don't want to do anything in that block of code, whereas continue is a control statement. It breaks the flow of execution of a code, and I was demonstrating it with a function I wrote. So, but because I wasn't sharing my screen, I had to do a little recap, like I had to undo everything. So I would just paste what I was writing. Okay. Um, um, okay. So this was the function I was writing. Please, can everyone hear me? At any point in time, if you cannot hear me, just signify in the chat and I will definitely see it. Okay, so this was the code I was writing. Yeah. So I have a function called add. So I was explaining that I got a message on Slack from someone saying their code was not running or their function was not running. And it was because they were calling the function inside the function itself. And I said that when you do that, it is recursion, because you are not supposed to call a function inside itself, except you want to make that function recursive. So the person had a block of code like this. So this would not run. So anytime you want to call your function, make sure it is outside the function scope, the function block itself. So it should be like this. So is everyone following me? The chat activity seems dormant. I just want to make sure that my internet is not trying to play the fast one on me again. Hello. Um, Please, if you can hear me, can you signify in the chats? Or if you can see my screen? Oh, okay, okay, thank you very much. Okay. So I believe this function is explanatory itself, but let's just go through it. So I have an add function that takes in two parameters. I'm saying if x is greater than 5, it should print x is greater than 5. Yeah, that means the value of x rather. Else it should print x is less than 5. Then it's also add both of them together. So x is 10 and y is 4. Now, if you are lost, if you don't understand what is going on here, I would advise you to watch the video tutorials on functions. It's already part of this week's resources. So you should just watch it and you definitely understand. Because I'm really not going to go over the basics of, okay, what is a function? I'm just trying to show you tips, tricks, and answer your questions. So, okay, someone asked that for those who missed the previous live class. So, if you missed the previous live classes, yeah, you can still use the link and it should direct you to that live class where you can watch again. So just use that same link and you'll be redirected to the live class on YouTube. Okay, so let's just run this function. Let's just run this function and see what it's. So, okay, yeah, I'm getting this error. An invalid Python interpreter is set. Select interpreter. I'm just going to close my VS Code and reopen. So I closed my VS Code again and I restarted. I opened it again rather. No, the link of the YouTube class itself, link of the YouTube class. So once you click on the link, you should be able to access the class. I got few messages too last week saying they need they need the link, and I was able to do that. So if you still need the link, you can just send me a DM on Slack. So let's rerun the code. Now we wait for the Python extension to finish loading. It's still loading down here. So like I said, this is what I hate about using Code Runner. It just misbehaves sometimes and you have to wait for it. So while we are waiting for that, is there any other question? You're seeing some people are still trying to access the class, so just send them the link. So okay, now it's running. So I hope everyone can see my screen. This is so it's slightly big for me, so I'm finding it hard to follow. So I hope you can see my screen now. I hope it's better now. So we got this output 10 is greater than 5 and 14, obviously. So I want to demonstrate the difference between pass and continue. Now, we know that at every point in time, this block of code runs. So if we put 11 here, we still get 11 is greater than 13 because it's always is greater than 5 rather. So if we get 11 is greater than 5 because 11 is obviously greater than 5. So we know that everything inside this block of code will run. But what if I don't want to do anything at all? Because there are some cases where you just want to make sure another block of code does not run. So you want to stop the execution of that block of code at all, like completely. You don't want it to work. You don't want it to run. Now, you could just use pass instead. And this will work. But 15 will still get printed. So pass would always just skip. It will literally just skip that block. But it does not break a flow because you can't really use it. If I use pass in a function, I am not skipping. Like if you remember when we were talking about loops last week and we looked at while loop, skip would literally skip that execution, like the iteration itself. And rather continue would rather skip the iteration itself. But pass is somewhat different. Pass is just saying, I don't want to use this block of code. I don't want to write anything for now. Just leave it as it is. Just leave it blank until I'm ready to write something there. But let's see if continue would work. I have not tried using continue in this instance, but exactly. So continue can be only used within a loop. So if I try to use continue here, I would get an error because I cannot use continue outside a loop. It's the same way you cannot use the return statement outside a function. So can I don't know who asked the question, but does everyone understand, or do I need to go back again to explain? Um, Hello. Okay, so I am not seeing any activity in the chat. Oh yes, you can use pass in a loop. You can use pass anywhere. Pass is universal. You can use pass everywhere. But for semantic purposes, you should not use pass if you have a loop where you can use continue. Because if anyone is reading your code, most times, like I said, you only use pass when you just want to make sure, like you don't want to write anything. Even if you check um Python's documentation, even if you check Python's documentation, yeah, you'd see that the where they explain pass was where they were talking about classes, and you just have a class, but you don't want to state an attribute or a method or something inside. You just use pass to skip. You just use it to like, okay, we are coming back to this and we'll write something when we are ready. But continue breaks the flow of execution of a code. Does everyone understand? This my internet issue has made me a bit tense because I have to keep checking if it is still working. Today has not been it for me. Yeah. Okay, so is there any other question? Uh, Something you are unclear about, something you are not sure of? Um, is there any question? We're still waiting. I'm still waiting. Okay, I should explain loops. Okay, so have you watched the videos on loops? Because I need to know what you are not clear about or what you don't understand about loops. So have you been able to go through the video materials? Okay, so I explained while loops in the last class, but yeah, I think we can still go back to talk about it. So before I go back to while loops, um, does everyone understand functions as a whole? Because functions is what we will cover all through this week. So before I start going back to last week's topic, we need to, or I need to make sure that everyone understands function, because I am not seeing any question in the chat section, and I just have to assume that you all understand if I am not seeing any question. Okay, I think I see a very interesting question. Args as an argument. Now, okay, so now arguments are okay, acts as an argument. Okay, so if I get it correct, this So let's start with args. Yeah, let's start with args. So now we have, okay, this example is actually the best example to use. Now we have a function that adds two numbers. What if we want a function that can take in a whole lot of, like, an array of numbers, and we want to specify them as an argument, as an individual argument, like, okay, 10, 4, 6, 7, 9, and so on, something like this. But it is not an array because obviously I am not putting it inside any brackets. I am just specifying it like this. Now, if we are to do something like this, if we are to have something like this, the um the naive way to specify it in our code should be something like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I'll explain why I'm using this. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, let's say we want to print F. No, F. Now, this would work. Yeah. This should work. So let's run. Okay, so we have 8. Yeah. So, but most times you shouldn't be doing this. Normally, you really shouldn't be doing this because you have like a way to specify it in Python, and that is where args come in. So now, when we do this, let's print what args is now. So let's can you see args in our console is the list of numbers. So args is a way to specify in our function without having to explicitly define them as individual parameters. So if we have something like how can I, okay, so times let's run this and see what happens. So args of 3 and args of 4 is 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 7 multiplied by 9, which is 63. So args is just a way to specify multiple parameters in our function without having to explicitly say them like define them in our function. I don't know if you understand. I don't know how best to put it, but because you are asking now, let's go check the args documentation on Python. So I would be showing you how to read through a documentation. So I'll just have to share my screen again. I'm coming. I'm trying to reshare my screen. So can everyone see my screen, please? Um, um, okay. Okay, seems everyone can see my screen now. Okay, so let's go through the documentation for args and quads. So by the way, quads is keyword arguments. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So let's go through an example here. So you denote it by this asterisk here. So this shows that this is a non-defined argument. So we are not defining a specific argument in when calling our function. We can pass in any number of arguments. So it is denoted by this asterisk symbol here. Oh, I am sharing. Sorry, I think I just have to share one whole screen. So you would flow with me. Okay. So can everyone see my Visual Studio Code? My okay, so when I finish answering or explaining these args, I would come back to the chat because I can see that lots of people are still asking questions on the functions itself. But can everyone see my Visual Studio Code? Okay. So here in this example here, we can see that there is a function called my phone. Okay, so I'm just going to do this and explain it on Visual Studio. So we have a function named my phone. Now it has this non-defined argument this way. Now, if you notice, the one I used was args, and this one is argv, which means that you can literally call it whatever you want. But anytime you are specifying it in your code, in your function rather, it needs to be the name of the parameter that is stated here. So it can be argv, whatever you want to call it, but make sure here it aligns to anytime you're using it inside your function. So our argument here is like a list. It's a sequence. It's not a list. The list is, we have different types of, okay, so we have different types of sequences in Python. A list is a sequence. A tuple is a sequence. So a tuple is denoted with a bracket like this. So if I have something like this, numbers equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a tuple. This is not a list. The difference between a list and a tuple is that lists are mutable. I think this is actually an assignment that I think you should just, like a classwork, just go read it up on your own. The differences between a list and a tuple. But lists are mutable, but tuple are immutable. They cannot be changed. So you can still iterate over a tuple, so it works like a list. But the difference between a list and a tuple is that you cannot change or modify a tuple, but you can modify a list. Yeah. So the argument here in our function here is a tuple, so we cannot change them. They are read-only. They are not writable. They are read-only. So once I loop through this, I will get every defined function, or every function that is every parameter rather, or every argument that I pass into my function. So let's run this code. Hello, welcome to this. So, like, that's the very idea of the args here. Or let's just use this for, because by convention you always see it in most Python codes. This is what you always see, args. So, I am not using an extension for the autocomplete. It's GitHub. It's GitHub Copilot. Is it an extension? It's a tool. Yeah, it's an extension, but it's much more than just an extension. I'm using GitHub Copilot, so you have to sign up for it. Then you have to get approved. GitHub has to approve your so GitHub Copilot. So yeah, now we have another one here, quarks. So now the difference between this and this is, this is for keyword arguments. Now, we have, we can specify our functions with keyword arguments. So let's say I have a function here. Let's take out this guy. So let's say I have a function odd equals 1, even equals 2. Now I can loop through, or I can specify this in my code and say print odd even. And when I do this, I am not calling my function. Now I'll explain what is happening here. Well, for now, let's just do this. So we get, okay, let's do this for. So we get 18, but I am not passing in any argument here. Now that is because I have already defined my arguments and the value in my function. So instead of, normally what we do is, most times what we do is we just specify this and we leave it at that. And we do this. So, but once you specify a value in a parameter inside your function, it serves as the default value. So even if you are not passing anything inside, your function when you are calling it, it will use these default values. So now I have 3 and 4, which is supposed to give me 12, and I have 5 and 6. But when I run this, I will still get 3 and 4 printed in the console. Let me put mine to autosave. I don't have to. So I'll still have 12 printed. But once I remove these guys, I would have 30 printed exactly. So this is function that accepts arguments, yeah, default arguments. So now, let's say I want to do this keyword arguments. Please, if you are not following, you can just specify. Can everyone hear me?